All right, girls, we are back with another episode and we are going to be talking about snacking / overeating. Is it bad? Should we do it? How do we stop it? All the things.
Am I into it? Let's go.
You take it away.
Yeah, I reckon. So when I think of common things that we see, a lot of it comes down, oh God.
I actually have decided I want to take it away because I just want to preface something first. Is snacking a bad thing?
I love a snack.
Because I feel like snacking on social media gets a bad rap. If you find that you're snacking all of the time, should you stop doing that? Absolutely not. I think that snacks are completely fine and we don't want to demonize them. Sorry, I just wanted to preface with that because I feel like a lot of the time social media is like, stop snacking after 3 p.m.
No.
It's not a thing.
Not a big fan of that. I love snacking. I have 2 snacks a day on average, usually.
Sometimes
2 to 3.
I have 3.
Yeah. Who's going to stop me? No one. So when it comes to snacking and also overeating, I also just think that there's easy things that we can do to stop that from happening if you think that it's getting out of control. And a lot of that can just come down to meal timing and meal size. If you have 3 good solid meals per day and 2 or 3 snacks, that's going to get rid of most of your issues that you have with wanting to eat a whole lot of food in the afternoon or night, which usually happens when we're playing catch up because we're so hungry. So that's something that I have noticed clients tell me and feedback that has just been, I've actually started eating breakfast when they weren't before and they're full until 10 or 11 and then they have a snack and then they have lunch at 12 or 1 and then they have dinner, and just making those changes to meal times, how substantial those meals are and what those meals include, again, AKA carbs and fat, as a simplified version, just makes that a lot easier.
The other thing that I would want to pay close attention to is your hunger cues. So actually learning to notice if you are hungry, truly hungry, haven't eaten in a while hunger, or if I'm just bored and I'm just going to the pantry because I'm bored and it's a habit, or if I'm at work and I'm going into the tea break room because I'm bored and it's a habit. A lot of people find that their snacking becomes out of control when they are bored. A lot of the time my clients will say, when I'm in the office and I'm working, there's so many snacks around me, I tend to overeat and overindulge and I don't really focus on anything outside of just snacking. And then when I go to eat my main meal, I'm actually really full because I've been mindlessly snacking all day. So before you go to snack, it's like, am I actually truly hungry? And if I am truly hungry, cool, I can pick a snack. Or am I just doing it from a place of boredom? Now, the second thing that I want to quickly touch on is if you are someone who overeats because they are snacking or they've got an issue with quote unquote overeating, one of the things that I would look at is a lot of the time people emotionally eat. We use food to self-soothe. One thing that I would focus on here is actually learning how to self-regulate first. So if you know that your coping mechanism when you are stressed is to go straight to food, I would look at what is the root cause of why you're stressed. Let's just say it's work and you don't have boundaries. So when you come home from work, you're working on your laptop until 8 or 9 p.m. at night and you feel like you can't ever get away. It's like, instead of us just going straight to food to self-soothe, to get that dopamine hit that we might not be getting, could we actually look at, okay, cool, when I get home, I'm going to implement a boundary that my work stays at work and I don't open or bring home my work laptop. So getting to the root cause. Another thing could be, for example, if you are a overeater because it comes from an emotional thing, or when you're sad or anxious or overwhelmed, you go to food, looking again at the root cause. It's like, if I know that I'm feeling a little bit anxious or I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and I go to food, well, what's causing me to feel overwhelmed? And looking and fixing that and learning how to regulate yourself in that process.
Yep. The 2 things that I would look at as well would be distractions and also slowing it down. So if I find that it's a lot easier, and I'm sure we can all relate to this. Just say if you had a really big bag of chips and you were watching TV and you're eating while you're watching and you're eating while watching, because you're really disconnected from food in that situation, it is really easy to kind of eat more than you need when you're actually truly already full and satisfied, 10 minutes ago. So I think that trying to separate when we combined food with, TV or food with another task, like sitting at a laptop, again, separating that and just eating the food, enjoying the food, savoring the food will honestly allow you to actually essentially not overeat as easy because you're just going to be present. And secondly, slowing it down. If you are just kind of eating really quickly, it's going to take a while to actually register that you were full already and you're satisfied. You don't actually need to finish an entire plate if you're full and you have, gotten what you've needed out of it as well. So I think that slowing it down and trying to eat with minimal distractions will really help you be more in touch with what you're eating. You'll probably enjoy your food more, and it's going to be one thing that stops you from kind of just eating more than you need to.
Also, something that I like to use or think about using is circuit breaking. So if you're used to, for example, you go to work and you find at work is the place that you overeat. This is quite a common thing. You go to work and you overeat at work. Instead of going to work, sitting down on your desk at lunchtime, you get straight up from your desk, you go straight into the tea room. Could you circuit break that habit that you've already built? Because once something becomes a habit, it almost becomes automatic, where you don't actually process what it is that you're doing. Before you know it, you're sitting down, you're not pulling your lunch out of the fridge, and you're just picking at snacks that are on the table. So instead of us going straight from our office into our tea room, could we go from our office out for a quick 10-minute walk and then come back and get our lunch out of the fridge? So doing something that circuit breaks that behavior because it's become habitual is going to be really, really handy if you're someone who overeats or they feel like they can't control their snacking. Now, back to the snacking thing, like we said at the start of this episode, is snacking innately bad? No, it's absolutely not. I love a snack. I'm a 3 snack a day girl. I think that it works really, really well if you're somebody who, goes periods of time without eating. So for example, if you're waking up early for work and your first meal is at 7 a.m., by the time it hits probably 10 or 11, you're probably feeling a little bit peckish, but you're not going to have your lunch until 1 o'clock. Let's just say that's your lunch break scheduled in. Cool, we could have a snack there. Then we could have our lunch. Then we could have another snack around that 3 or 4 o'clock mark, and then have our dinner, and then potentially maybe a little dessert afterwards. Now, what I find a lot of people fall into the trap is that 3 to 4 p.m. slump. We've all felt it before. We all know what it feels like to get to 3 or 4 p.m. and you are absolutely ravenous, or you have absolutely no energy and we get that crash. So what I would look at here is actually just spacing my meals out a little bit differently. So if I know at that 3 o'clock time is where I get really snacky and I want to overeat, could I just have my breakfast maybe an hour or two later than I normally have it? So instead of eating my breakfast before I go to work, could I bring my breakfast with me to work and have breakfast at say 9 o'clock instead of 7 a.m.? So then I've pushed my feeding window back a couple of hours, meaning that my lunch I could maybe have at 2:30 instead of 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. And by the time that 3 or 4 p.m. hits, I'm feeling well satiated, meaning that I'm not going to probably reach for lots of snacks or feel like I get into that, oh my God, I can't control my eating right now behavior.
Yep. And I want to talk about the client who wants to lose weight, but they also want to know, how does snacking fit into that? And snacking can fit into that. It's just going to come down to choices and education. So if you are snacking something that's really calorie dense, so let's just think of like something that's
charcuterie board,
something really creamy, something really high in fat. It's really easy for that small amount of food to add up to a whole lot of calories. And when we think about fat loss, it's calories in, calories out. That's the bare bones of it. So I would look for, if possible, a higher protein, moderate calorie kind of snack. And that's going to depend on your needs and all of that. But let's just say on average, the snack is somewhere between 150 to 300 calories is like an average size snack. If we have protein in there, awesome. It's going to make us feel fuller for longer. But it's not that you can't have snacks when you're dieting. And I think that if you try to go without, and then let's just say your last meal is at lunch and you don't eat until dinner, it's going to be really hard to stick to that. But if you choose a sustainable dieting approach, which Kate and I love, where you incorporate tasty snacks, but those snacks are kind of more calorie controlled, they're enjoyable, but you're not going overboard. When it comes to the afternoon, you've got something to look forward to. Then you have dinner. It's easier to stay on track. It's easier to reach your goals in the long run. So education's really key, and also just finding something that actually works for you and not being like, I can't have that.
Another thing as well that I'll add in here is like, we recommend eating 3 to 4 main meals per day, but also I'm not opposed to having 5 or 6 meals. Depending on your lifestyle, your schedule, what your work looks like, if you're the person that is always snacking and you feel like that becomes this habit, pattern and behavior for you, maybe we could actually just look at having more frequent, smaller meals spaced throughout the day. So instead of you, for example, like me, I love having like a really decent sized breakfast, a decent sized lunch, and a decent sized dinner, and having 2 to 3 snacks spread in there throughout the day. But I know there's some of my girlies who work in office jobs and they don't have time to sit down for 45 minutes and eat a proper meal, etc. So we'll just have more frequent, smaller meals spread out throughout the day. So they're still getting enough calories in, they're still eating enough protein, they're still ticking all of their goals, and they're not aimlessly snacking because it's all pre-planned and like planned ahead essentially.
Yeah, I think organization just makes life so much easier when it comes to nutrition. Whether your goal is to grow muscle, to gain weight, to lose weight, if you can just find an approach, a meal timing approach, and also just what suits, your lifestyle and your work schedule, it's just going to make everything feel more like you're just in a routine. It's just a matter of showing up and ticking the boxes.
Absolutely. And I think that we're going to leave that podcast episode here. I feel like we gave you guys lots of value. Now you know what to do. If you're on our YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe. It helps us out way more than you would realize. And if you're over on our Spotify, we see you. We love you. Don't forget to rate this podcast 5 stars. And we'll see you in our next episode.
Bye guys.